Flight attendant kicks black girl. 7 minutes later, no she owns Airline. Anita Johnson sat quietly in her first-class seat, her dark brown eyes fixed on the fluffy clouds outside the airplane window. At just 22 years old, Anita had accomplished what many could only dream of. She was the youngest CEO of Aerostar International Airlines, a company she inherited after her mother, a brilliant businesswoman with Russian and Ghanaian roots, passed away. Despite her youthful energy and sharp intellect, Anita often traveled in anonymity, preferring not to flaunt her status. Today, however, her identity was about to take center stage in the most unexpected way. The flight was from Moscow to New York, and Anita had settled into her seat early, ready to enjoy a quiet journey. She wore a simple, elegant jumpsuit and kept her makeup minimal. Her understated demeanor often caused people to underestimate her, and she didn't mind. She liked blending in, observing people, and getting a first-hand feel for her airline's operations. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop a comment below. As boarding neared its end, a flight attendant named Elena Kozlova strutted down the aisle, her sharp heels clicking against the cabin floor. Elena was a senior member of the crew, known for her brisk, no-nonsense attitude. But beneath her professional exterior was a deep-seated bias she rarely bothered to conceal. When Elena approached Anita's seat, her eyes narrowed slightly. "Excuse me," she said curtly. "I think you're in the wrong seat. First class is reserved for premium passengers." Anita glanced up, her calm expression unchanging. "This is my assigned seat," she said politely, producing her boarding pass. Elena barely glanced at it before scoffing. "I've seen this trick before. Move to economy or I'll call security." The passengers around them began to take notice. Whispers spread through the cabin as Anita sat frozen, her mind racing. She could feel the weight of their stares, some sympathetic, others curious, a few indifferent. Elena, mistaking Anita's silence for defiance, leaned down, her voice lowering to a threatening hiss. "Listen, I don't have time for this. Get up!" Before Anita could respond, Elena's hand shot out and roughly grabbed her arm, pulling her from the seat with enough force to make Anita stumble. The indignity of the moment hit her like a tidal wave. The whispers turned to audible gasps as several passengers reached for their phones, capturing the scene. "I'm giving you one last chance," Elena barked, ignoring the growing tension around her. "Take your things and move." 7 minutes later, just as Anita had been escorted to the economy section, the intercom crackled. "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen," the captain began. "We'd like to extend a warm welcome to a very special passenger on board today, our CEO, Miss Anita Johnson. She's traveling with us to personally oversee the flight experience. Please join me in making her journey as comfortable as possible." The silence that followed was deafening. Every head in the cabin turned toward Anita, who sat calmly in her new seat, her poise unshaken despite the humiliation she'd endured. Elena's face turned ghostly pale. "CEO?" she whispered to herself, her legs wobbling beneath her. Realizing the gravity of her mistake, Elena bolted toward Anita. Her demeanor was entirely different now, her arrogance replaced with panic. "Miss Johnson," she stammered, her voice trembling. I had no idea. Please, let me escort you back to your original seat." Anita's dark eyes locked onto Elena's, her expression unreadable. "I'm fine here," she said coolly. "You've already made me comfortable." Elena opened her mouth to respond, but Anita raised a hand, silencing her. "I'll speak with you after the flight." For the next few hours, the atmosphere aboard the plane was tense. Passengers whispered amongst themselves, exchanging knowing glances. Several of them posted the video of the incident online, and within minutes, it began to go viral. When the flight landed in New York, Anita was greeted by her executive team. But before stepping off the plane, she turned to face Elena, who stood near the exit, her eyes filled with a mixture of regret and fear. "Miss Kozlova," Anita said, her voice firm but calm. "Your behavior today was unacceptable, not just to me, but to the values this airline represents. We don't tolerate discrimination here, and we certainly don't allow our passengers to be treated with such disrespect." You are hereby suspended pending a full review." Elena's mouth opened as if to protest, but she quickly closed it, nodding silently. Later that evening, Anita released a statement addressing the incident. "As CEO of Aerostar International Airlines, I have always believed in the power of diversity and respect. Today's incident reminds us of the importance of holding ourselves to the highest standards. This is not just about me, it's about every passenger who has ever felt unseen or disrespected. We can and will do better." The story made headlines around the world. Anita's grace under pressure and her commitment to fairness were widely praised, solidifying her reputation as a leader who led not just with authority, but with heart. And Elena Kozlova? She became a symbol of what happens when prejudice overshadows professionalism. For Anita, the incident wasn't just a moment of personal justice. It was an opportunity to reinforce the values her airline stood for, ensuring that no passenger, regardless of background, would ever have to endure what she had. As the media frenzy escalated, the video of the incident quickly gained millions of views online. People from all over the world praised Anita Johnson for her grace and resilience. The hashtag #StandWithAnita began trending, with countless stories emerging from passengers of various backgrounds who had faced similar discrimination but lacked the platform or power to speak out. Meanwhile, Aerostar International Airlines Board of Directors convened an emergency meeting. While the company already had diversity policies in place, Anita insisted that this incident exposed the need for more robust measures. She proposed a comprehensive overhaul of employee training programs, focusing on cultural sensitivity, implicit bias, and the importance of upholding the airline's core values of equality and respect. "We must ensure that this isn't just a reactive measure," Anita declared during the meeting. "It's about creating a culture where everyone, from our employees to our passengers, feels valued. One incident like this is one too many." The board unanimously approved her proposal, and the initiative, titled *The Sky for All program, was announced within days. The program included workshops led by renowned human rights advocates, anonymous reporting mechanisms for passengers and staff, and strict consequences for violations of the airline's inclusivity policy. As for Elena Kozlova, she wasn't merely suspended. Upon the conclusion of an internal investigation, it was determined that her actions not only violated company policy, but also harmed the airline's reputation. She was formally terminated, her dismissal widely publicized, to underline Aerostar's zero-tolerance stance on discrimination. Though publicly silent, Elena privately attempted to contact Anita, writing a lengthy email apologizing for her actions. "I've spent my whole life judging people by appearances, but this experience has made me confront the ugliness of my own bias. I am truly sorry for the harm I caused," she wrote. Anita read the email carefully. While she appreciated the sentiment, she knew forgiveness was a personal journey, not a public spectacle. She chose not to respond, instead focusing her energy on the larger impact she could make. The positive momentum from the incident extended far beyond the airline industry. Anita was invited to speak at international forums and conferences, her dual heritage as a Russian-Ghanaian leader inspiring many who saw her as a symbol of resilience and progress. On one such occasion, Anita addressed a gathering at the United Nations, where she shared a personal reflection. "When I was younger, my mother used to say, 'The sky is big enough for all of us to fly.' That simple phrase became the cornerstone of my life and work. Prejudice, discrimination, and hate, they only shrink the sky. My mission, our mission, is to keep it limitless." Her words resonated deeply, earning a standing ovation. Back in her personal life, Anita's story brought her closer to her roots. She visited Ghana to honor her late mother's legacy, working with local communities to establish scholarships for underprivileged youth aspiring to careers in aviation. In Russia, she partnered with organizations to promote diversity in the workforce, ensuring that her dual heritage became a bridge between cultures rather than a barrier. Drop a comment if you enjoyed this story. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll make me very happy. Thank you, and I look forward to your like.